All right, at this point, folks, the core of the drum game is actually finished. We've created all of the different pieces that we need to actually have a playable game. So for all intents and purposes, you could say that we're done. However, there's a few other things that we're going to be showing moving forward. We have a few bonus lessons that are coming up. What kind of stuff are we going to be putting together?
Well, we're going to be looking at alternate controller input, beginning with the Rock Band 2 controller, and we're going to be doing some interesting stuff with MIDI.
Okay. And that's all just kind of stuff that's outside the scope of actually making a game. As I said, the game is actually done at this point. So what we're going to do here as we kind of give you an outro is we're going to take a look at the game one more time with a slightly more professional skinning job, just to give you an idea of how much of a difference playing with graphics could make on the game. And then I think we'll just say thank you and walk away quietly.
All right, let's do it. So the last thing we want to do is to replace our dev skin with a real actual skin. So what we've done...
The term real actual skin is used pretty loosely here. This is really just some graphics that I grabbed off the internet.
But nonetheless, the idea is that having assembled a separate skin has consisted of the following files. We've got a set of screen backgrounds and a staff background. Now, if you remember inside of the game, everything else is based on positioning. Now, this skin just happens to use the positions we used in dev mode. So if you were to build a more advanced skin, you are, of course, free to still go into your style configuration and move everything around. Right. That was the whole point of setting up our positionings. But in this case, this skin can apply directly over the dev skin. So that means all we need to do is looking at our style folder, we can see that we have some names that match up here in the Solution Explorer, Screen Edit, Free Play, and so on. You can see that we have all 8 of the screens, not including the test screen that was made earlier. So all 8 of the real screens and a new staff background, and that will map directly over staff.png. Now in this case, effect and note are going to remain. All along we're considering that rounded note to be the real actual note, and we haven't come up with a replacement for it. Now the cool thing is that the application of a new skin can be done directly inside of Visual Studio and is very fast to do. Now naturally, if you already had a built version of the game, it would be a simple matter of taking the files on the hard drive and replacing the PNGs with these files.
Sure.
Now in our case, saying that we want to move over to this set of files, we could even go here inside of our Solution Explorer and drop all of these in place into Style and then replace all of them. We could hit yes to all or just go through all 9 of them and get them all loaded in. That means if we were to now build the game, all of these files will get rebuilt, and look at that. We have a new and more interesting looking main menu screen.
And what we have here is some really cheap Photoshop work and some photos that I think I pulled off of Google.
But again, just to demonstrate the point of you can vastly change the look of the game by applying a skin. Now, before we take a look at all the aspects of this new skin, I am going to also disable the log file.
Okay.
Because at this point, we're assuming that we're getting the game ready for presentation. So we're going to jump down here into our core folder, pull up the log class, and set our enabled field to false. And that will nicely hide the log. Alright, let's take a quick tour of the game with the new skin applied. First, jumping into single player, we can load up a song, watch the song go by, and you will note that we have a different staff background here. It's actually semi-transparent, so we can see through to the game's actual background.
Gotcha.
Now, after the song ends, we have a score screen where the positioning of the text is actually further amplified by some container boxes. So again, even though all of this is still just text and positions, you can greatly affect the presentation with all the graphics. So let's jump back out of single player and make sure that multiplayer looks the same. Also, before I skipped over the song select. So again, this is simply hinting at the fact that we have a selection list on the side with the background color.
Right, and outside of that, you'll notice that everything that we've actually programmed is exactly the same.
Exactly. So I mean, really, it's the same thing. It's just all of the visuals now. So we could let a multiplayer session play out. You can see that both of our tracks still line up nicely. We get to our score screen, and you can see that the skin was designed with enough room for a second player's score. So player 2 has a place to exist on screen. Jumping back, free play should be fairly standard fare since it uses the gameplay visual approach. So there we have a staff going by, and we can hit notes as necessary. Now we have a new save screen, so we can see the actual save menu outlined with the background. So we could save a new song if we wanted to. I'll hit no to this session. And finally, we have the song editor. So going into song editor, we can pick on a song. And again, we have a background still specifying that we are in edit mode. And we have all of our graphics set up. And of course, using the semi-transparent background. And if we look at all the different granularities, we can still edit as need be here inside of edit mode.
You know, I totally forgot about this skin. I only remembered that older skin that I made that was all images from Google. Do you remember that?
Yep, I do. And
Yeah.
it had the different drummers and the...
I actually forgot that I made this one.
So, added bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
But, all right, so with edit mode, and of course if edit mode were to change something, we would go back to, again, the same save screen. But, I mean, really, that's, as far as I can think, that's all the different modes, and we can now see all of the different aspects. Actually, one more I just remembered. In a song, we can go into pause mode.
Ah,
The pause screen also has an appropriate skin set to it. So resume, pause, and quit.
very, very nice. So I guess with that, you've now seen everything through to create this base game. Everything that what you just saw playing there was everything that we've been coding for the last X number of hours. And then you've seen us just swap out the graphics with some playing around in Photoshop, which vastly changes how the game feels. It's like suddenly it actually feels a bit more like an actual game just from doing that. So keep presentation in mind. Outside of that, I think we're essentially done here. So I did want to thank everybody for following along. Big thanks to all the members of 3D Buzz, especially our member sponsors. And Logan, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I think that wraps it up. We've got a solid core game and presentation all put together.
Okay, so with that, we are out of here. Thanks a lot, guys.